Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are
Propelled by Plants. Today we bring to you episode 330, Busting Myths About Protein Powders with Andrew Brindle.
In this episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, we talk with Andrew Brindle, and we talk about the ins and outs of protein powders. Now, most of you ask the question, what protein powder should I use? And our answer is normally, well, we don't really use protein powder. We use real food. But there are times from time to time that we want to incorporate it for whatever reasons, whether it be traveling or, there are certain times when we do. And when we do, we want to make sure that we are using the absolute best ingredients. And we want to make sure that you use the absolute best ingredients too. So Andrew lets us know a lot of the myths, a lot of the industry secrets, so that you can make sure that you are making good decisions.
For those of you that don't know Andrew, he's the founder and chief formulator of Real Pro-Life Nutrition. He started the company about 3 years ago when he saw a gap in the market for quality plant-based vegan protein. He's based in Las Vegas. He's an avid plant-based fitness buff and jiu-jitsu competitor. Really smart guy. He's not afraid to disclose the industry's secrets because he's got nothing to hide. We also wanted to let you know that we have no affiliation with Real Pro-Life Nutrition. This was an episode that we thought was important to share so that you can get the knowledge from Andrew, because he has so much of it, about this age-old question of where do you get your protein and what's the deal with protein powder.
And why do I get bloated when I drink it? And all of those things you'll understand more by the end of this podcast.
Yeah, and Andrew shares so much of that great information. So share this out with someone who's using protein powder and having issues so they could learn a lot more about it. If you want a healthy, natural way to fuel your workouts or fire up your brain, Energy Bits are for you. Energy Bits are tiny spirulina algae tabs that are nutritionally dense, a source of mental and physical energy that is all natural and causes no stomach distress. They eliminate fatigue and hunger instantly with no caffeine, sugar, chemicals, gluten, or soy, just pure plant-based nutrition. 1 ingredient, 1 calorie, and 0 net carbs. I use them before workouts or sometimes just as a snack. They make me feel great and give me that extra energy boost I'm sometimes looking for. I also use Recovery Bits, which are tiny chlorella tabs. I use them after workouts or when I'm feeling hungry late at night. Visit energybits.com and order Energy Bits, Recovery Bits, Vitality Bits, or Skinny Bits, and use the promo code PLANTTRAINERS to get 20% off your order at checkout. The link will also be in the show notes just in case you didn't get that all down. Improve your energy, wellness, and waistline all at the same time with Energy Bits. Check out Energy Bits today and feel the difference. Your brain and body will say thank you. And now for a moment of gratitude.
Today, I'm grateful for a couple of emails that I had come in this week, especially one about someone's nephew who we were able to help together. And the doctors were blown away by the sheer fact that he's still alive. And it really does make my heart sing that I can help give people the tools that they need to improve their health.
I've been working a little bit with a small group of leaders developing some leadership skills, and I've had a lot of fun with that so far. And I'm really excited to keep going, and am very just grateful for the opportunity to be able to share what I know about developing leadership.
Andrew Brindle, thank you so much for joining us on the Plant Trainers Podcast today.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
We'd love to know if you have a moment of gratitude to share.
I do. I'm legit just happy to be healthy. My mom, who's turning 70 this week, I'm happy she's healthy. And like I said, I'm actually just happy to be on the podcast with you guys talking about plant-based fitness, nutrition, and everything.
I think a lot of people who are healthy often take their health for granted. So it's definitely a good reminder to all of us out there who are feeling great to just take that deep breath moment of gratitude and be there with yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you almost take it for granted, but they always say, health is wealth. And I feel like most people only realize that until they don't have it anymore, but I'm always appreciative, happy I can do the things I like doing, staying physically active. And
So has health always been something that you've had, or what made you look into the plant-based world and take your plant-based leap?
In regards to being plant-based, so I was vegetarian as a kid for a long time, and that's when I started working out. Now, I wasn't vegan, though. So when I started lifting, this was in high school, and I basically lived on bean burritos and whey protein shakes. So I was fit, but I don't know, I'd question the health aspect, and that's what I think a lot of people miss is their health and fitness can be two different things. I want to couple both of them. Fitness is looking good, looking fit. Health is actually the state of your body and how things are working. You can look really good and not be healthy. So I've always been about fitness. I've really gotten into health probably I'm 35 now, probably in the last 5 years, really focusing on health as opposed to back in high school and college. I just wanted to get big. Back in the day, I didn't really care about health. So I really focused a lot more on health. And my priorities have changed in the last 5 years, I would say. But I've always been active, always played sports. In recent years, I do jiu-jitsu, submission wrestling, stay active. But I go to the gym a lot. I'm outdoorsy, but I don't do a whole lot of high intensity active. Like I'm not a big mountain biker or hiker. When I say I do things outdoors, I like golfing, as you can probably see in the background there. But I just like to stay active. And but yeah, as far as the diet, last 5 years going plant-based, I just feel better. I think a lot of people, when they eat meat, it kind of weighs you down. I went from vegetarian being in middle school and high school, and then in college I just tried, well, you know what? We'll see what this meat thing is all about. Everybody said, oh, you got to eat meat to get big. So I ate meat for quite a many years. Thinking back on it, wasn't really a whole lot of benefit. So then I kind of scaled back to being vegetarian. And then I tried to go vegan a few times, back and forth, on and off, probably about 10 times. And then about 4 years ago, I was officially, full vegan. But I just feel better. I feel cleaner. I used to neglect the micronutrients back. I was all about protein and carbs. Now I actually realize, there is something to this eat whole foods, fruits and vegetables, because you really do feel it when you're getting the micronutrients, and you just feel a lot better and fresher. I think most people out there that are, on a standard diet, they don't realize how good you're actually supposed to feel,
I think you brought up a good point there when you said that you weren't eating the meat and then you started eating it and you didn't feel any benefits. Because a lot of people who leave the meat behind and go into a vegan or plant-based diet will say, oh, but I didn't feel good enough. And it is really those micronutrients, I think, that make a big difference. And you were probably getting more of them before you gave up being vegetarian to eat the meat again. And then you were just eating more macro. You're just eating more protein, right? So something was definitely lost in there. And now you say that, you pay more attention to the greens and the fruits and all that, and that's what makes the difference for you. And you have a very active lifestyle, and that's what's able to support it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Back then it was just all I cared about were, the macronutrients. And because all I cared about was, what the body looked like, it didn't really matter what I felt like. So again, in recent years, especially, the older you get, you got to take a little bit better care of yourself. Your body doesn't recover as well. So really focusing on, the organic fruits and vegetables and getting those micronutrients, you will notice a difference. As a kid, I feel like you almost feel good no matter what you put in your body. The older you get, you feel it more. So yeah, like I said, in the last 5 years, really focusing on, really getting the fruits and veggies in. And one thing I like doing as far as, there are a lot of vegetables that I don't like eating by themselves. Beets and kale are at the top of the list. Well, I actually just make a smoothie with it, add maybe a banana, because I feel like a banana can save any smoothie. You could put dog crap in a smoothie. You can save it with a banana.
Did you test that?
No. I'm presuming, but throw some protein powder in there, give it a little extra flavor. That's how I like to eat the stuff that's really good for you, the stuff that everybody should be consuming. But not everybody likes the taste of kale or beets. Just being realistic. But again, you can pretty much put anything in a smoothie and get it all in there and actually make it real convenient. But that's what I've been about. I do at least one smoothie a day with those fruits and vegetables, and then, of course, throughout the day, I'm getting whole foods for the most part.
If you put your beets with your kale, you're going to have a super powerful meal. Just eat them together. Delicious. It's great. You just put nice raw beets, cook them up a little bit, steam your kale a little bit, put it together, And whether you like it or not, it's going to be good for you.
Put some lemon and salt on top.
I was going to say, I will hate that. But
so you might hate
taste-wise.
that. But you know what? That's a problem that I think a lot of people face, is that they're too focused on what it tastes like versus the benefit that it gives you and the purpose behind the food. We get too caught up sometimes on, I have to like what I'm about to eat, otherwise I'm not going to eat it, forgetting that we're using food as fuel for our body. So we want to find the most nutrient-dense foods to provide the fuel for our body to be able to perform at the highest level. And quite often, we are too focused on what it looks like or what it tastes like and lose the focus on what's important for us to get into our body. That being said, if you don't like those two foods, you're not going to eat them and you'll find alternatives to it.
Right.
But that,
or like you don't want to gag it down.
Well, no.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, no, I'm with you on that, but I feel like, there's always different ways you can arrange foods to make it more presentable. Because, I mean, I don't think most people just want to just take a big thing of kale and just start eating it. However, again, you make it in a smoothie or you put it with a dish with other food, marinated things, bring it all together. But I definitely see your point. I mean, food is meant to be fuel.
Yeah, and I want to come back to something you said earlier, which is what you see on the outside is not necessarily what we see on the inside. And for many, many years, I was into fitness and thought I was eating right. But on the inside, we learned that my body was not doing as well as it looked on the outside. And I was never someone who was overweight. And I thought I was taking good care of myself until I learned differently. And I also, when I was in high school, I was very focused on the macronutrients, on the protein specifically, because everybody said you needed your protein. And where do you get your protein from now as a vegan? And that's like the biggest question that anybody ever comes up with.
When I first met him, you were like, 22? And you'd come over to my house and go through the pantry and you'd take out a can of tuna and a can of baked beans.
Yep.
And you would eat the tuna and the baked beans straight from the can.
That is an interesting dish.
It wasn't necessarily together.
It's just I thought I needed my protein and I knew that I would get it from the can of tuna. And I knew the baked beans would give it to me as well. And so that was something that I ate along with a ton of protein powder. And I don't know if protein powder is really something I should have been using, but I know there's a purpose to protein powder, and we might as well talk about it a little bit right now. But when somebody's working out, and this is something that I see with my high school students when they're hitting the gym and they want to get big and buff like you are now, they think that they need to pack down protein powder after protein powder. And we might as well talk about it, get it out of the way right now about protein supplements. Does everybody need it? Is it really necessary, or are they just flushing it down the toilet?
Right. So I think maybe I'll be one of the only protein supplement company owners that will just flat out say nobody needs protein powder. Now, again, we're using the word need because, through whole food plant-based source, or even if you're not plant-based, obviously meat has protein. Protein powders are meant to supplement your protein needs. Now, I would say the vast majority of people they're wasting their money. Back in the day, I remember a time when if you saw a protein jug on somebody's counter, you're like, was that steroids? But now everybody and their grandmother has their protein jug in the kitchen counter, and it's a whole deal because there's this culture of, especially like, in the bodybuilding culture, you gotta be slamming protein nonstop or else you'll be shrinking. And it depends on your goals, but going back to, whether you need a protein powder or not, nobody needs a protein powder. Now, the benefits or how it may assist you are more towards, your fitness goals, or if you do need, if you really aren't getting a whole lot of protein, it makes it easier. So two things that I guess can assist you, protein powders can assist you with: convenience. I touched on a little bit earlier where, on the go, or just a way to make a nice nutritious smoothie with fruits and vegetables. Make a smoothie. It's quick. It makes it delicious. I had my Madagascar vanilla protein powder in the smoothie. It does make it taste better. Even if I don't say need the protein, I'm just going to throw in a half serving just to flavor it up. So from a convenience standpoint, but also a lot of people don't realize as far as tailoring your macros from a fitness standpoint, depending on what you're trying to do with the way your body looks, and, being on a plant-based diet for, all the vegans out there, sometimes if you want to tailor your macros to, this specific meal, I just want protein. I don't want any carbs. I don't want any fats. it's kind of hard because a lot of the really good protein-rich, whole food, plant-based foods out there, like legumes, say black beans, it's a good source of protein. It's a good source of fiber. However, it does have a 3-to-1 carbs to protein ratio, meaning for every gram of protein you want, well, you got to take 3 grams of carbs with that. So if you want to tailor your macros for certain meals, if you are trying to lower your carbs or however you're doing, whatever your fitness goals, it can help do that. So you can kind of tailor, again, high protein, low carb, or however you want to do it. So it's more a convenience thing or tailoring macros. But to answer the question, nobody needs a protein powder. I think a lot of people, it's overused.
So when you talk about tailoring your needs, you're talking about somebody who's trying to get a specific aesthetic look. So they want to lower their fat content on their body so that you can see the muscles more. So maybe somebody who just wants to go for a good photo shoot to, because they want to show off their muscles and because they're a trainer, or somebody who's doing a competition, that's when they need it. But for people who are weekend warriors or, like trying to bulk up, we can definitely achieve our macronutrient needs with regular food, or with whole food. But when we want to actually really get down, lower the body fat, then that would be a good tool to use.
Right. And let's just say you're trying to maintain, and I know the average people, they don't, I don't count my macros like to the number. I kind of have a base idea based on what I'm eating. But if I know that, I've taken a lot of carbs today, or whatever, and I would like a snack though, I'll make a protein smoothie where it's just protein and, there's some natural sugars from, say, the fruits. But when I want a meal that's kind of an in-betweener, again, if I don't feel like adding fats or carbs, it's a good way to do that. But yeah, especially from the fitness aspect, if you're really trying to cut, you're trying to, say, raise the protein calorie portion up, bring the carbs down, it helps you do that, especially on a plant-based diet, because a lot of good protein sources from whole food plant-based, you're taking in extras. Not that they're bad, but as far as from just a body shaping, body tailoring aspect, you might just want protein for a certain meal, kind of like Adam with his can of tuna when he come over your place. So it's more, convenience and tailoring macros. But I always tell people that they should, if not all, again, convenience, sometimes you need to supplement things, but, it should be whole food sources. They just satisfy you a lot more anyway. It's what we're meant to eat. But yeah, if you do need to supplement, that's the word. That's why we use the word supplement. It is meant to supplement. It's not supposed to be the whole source. I remember back when I was, again, in high school and working out, and I was a vegetarian. Yeah, I ate some bean burritos, but I would go through, those big 5-pound protein jugs. I'd go through 3 of those a month because I'd have like 10 shakes a day because I'm like, I got to just have protein in my veins nonstop. I was getting acne, like all types of crazy stuff. This was whey protein. But yeah, people, I think, get quite carried away. And it's marketing. It's the culture that you need protein nonstop. It really does depend on your activity level and your goals. If you're just chill, you don't work out that much, you really don't need much protein. You most likely don't need to supplement. You should be getting it from whole foods. If you're trying to bodybuild, it can definitely help. Adding calories, especially more protein, it can help you. But yeah, nobody needs a protein powder to be healthy. I'll put it that way.
I've never really counted macros ever, even when I was into weightlifting pretty seriously. But for those people that are into lifting or think they need to have a certain amount of protein a day, is there a formula these days that's being used to figure out how much protein someone's supposed to have?
Well, so it's always been, this is the old school, maybe call it bro science. And I still actually I don't stick to this, but I kind of use it as a reference point. They always say, to maximize muscle, if you're bodybuilding, they say 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, try to get in 200 grams of protein per day, spread out throughout the day. And again, that was just always the tried and true formula. I don't even know if they've really advanced research on that. You'll have people that say, you don't need that much. You'll have some people that say you need more. It's definitely science, obviously, but it's a thing you kind of have to experiment with yourself, I believe. But I weigh around 200 pounds, 190. And again, I don't count macros, but I do take in quite a bit of protein. It's probably at least 200 grams a day. It's mainly through whole foods. I do 1, sometimes 2 of my shakes a day, 1 after my workout. Again, just for convenience, because it's right there at the gym. But as far as how much protein you should be in, if you're trying to bodybuild, I go off that old system. So yeah, for every pound of body weight, they say 1 gram of protein, but there are plenty of people that say you don't need that much, and they're built. they're built more than me. So I feel like it's something you got to try for yourself. But for an average person or somebody that's not trying to max muscle, yeah, I don't think you need that much. Maybe half. Whatever satisfies you. I say whatever your body says it needs. I always listen to my body. I can actually tell when I'm craving or hungry for protein or carbs. A lot of times it's both, but I can actually tell a difference. I don't know about other people, but yeah, as far as grams of protein per day, it really depends on your specific situation, your activity level, your fitness goals.
I just wanted to jump in here for one moment. A few weeks ago, we talked about redox signaling molecules and how that is helping people. And when I was in a situation that I could not use food and nutrition to heal, this was something that really helped me, and it really didn't matter what the problem was because this helped my whole body with zero toxicity, and it has been amazing for me and others. If you would like to talk about how it can help you from an inflammation point of view or hormonal point of view or even an athletic point of view, please feel free to email us at info@planttrainers.com and we will hop on the phone with you and give you more information. And now back to the show.
And so the source of protein is super important. And we know that through tons of research. When we talked to Dr. Colin Campbell about watching the rats that ate the protein that came from cheese and watched their cancer cells turn on, and then they lowered the dose, the cancer cells turned off. So we moved to a plant-based protein, which is much healthier for the body as a whole. So how do people now decide which are the best varieties or choices of plant protein? Which are are there ones that are more beneficial than others? Are there insufficient, complete, incomplete proteins? Because those were terms that were tossed around for many, many years. And I just don't know if I believe it. So maybe you can shed some light.
Right. So I'm not sure there's going to be a lot here.
Yeah.
And actually, Shoshana and I spoke about this a little earlier on the phone days ago. Okay. We'll start with, going the plant-based protein powder. So you see these jugs on the shelves, you see the websites, you see the imagery. And it's, okay, wow. Okay. We got a healthy, all natural plant-based alternative to this dairy industry, the whey. Unfortunately, and a lot of times it says organic. Unfortunately, a lot of the, I'd say 90% of the pea protein supply and brown rice protein supply in the industry, and it's in pretty much all the plant-based protein products out there, it's actually from China. And a lot of it'll say USDA organic. The Chinese ingredient companies are notorious for falsifying documentation to get that rating. But the one issue that plant-based, a lot of the main brands have had issues with in the past, maybe a couple of years ago, the Clean Label Project. In 2016, they basically reviewed over 130 of the top selling protein powders, not just plant-based, but everything. And a couple of the major plant-based companies, I know Vega was one, and I think Sunwear, they had heavy metal contamination issues. And people are like, well, I thought this was supposed to be so healthy. Well, even if something's grown organically, if it's grown where the soil is contaminated or the water, the air with heavy metal contamination, it's going to be in the powder. A lot of these plant-based powders are made with real cheap ingredients. That's why a lot of times the pea protein you see is real high in sodium. So you have to be careful with that. That's been a big issue lately because it looks healthy and everybody says, okay, plant-based protein powders are healthier, which they are. They don't have the stuff that, God knows what's in the cows. They don't have any cholesterol. Right. They have a lot of those issues, but you do have to, it's a concern of mine and should be a concern of everybody else's as far as where the ingredients are sourced. Majority of it's all from China, actually.
So that's something that comes up a lot when I'm talking with clients. It's, why isn't fish good or why isn't something else good? And it's not necessarily all these good things that you're getting with particular products, but it's what else is coming along with it that's really negative. And when we talked about this the other day, it reminded me of one of Dr. Michael Greger's videos where he was talking about the green tea coming from China and how the green tea coming from China is very dense in heavy metals. So when you're looking at the ingredients, you want to get it from Japan instead of get it from China. So that completely made sense and completely resonated with me when we talked about that. It's very easy to trust because it says organic. But what does that actually mean from that area that it came from, or what kind of testing has been done, right?
I mean, there's no real way to verify it from the product on the shelf. A lot of those plant-based protein powders aren't organic. There's this one, do you guys have Orgain in Canada?
Not sure.
Dude, couldn't tell you.
Honestly, we don't use a lot of protein powder.
We're the type, we always have it. It's not on the counter. It's in the cupboard. Mm-hmm. We always have a canister. It's really great for us when we're traveling, or yesterday when Adam said it's time to go for a hike and everybody had eaten lunch except for me. And I'm like, I didn't eat lunch. So, I threw together, I put the kale, I threw in some Real Pro Life, I threw in some kale, I threw in a banana, and I ran. So, it comes up in the kids' ice cream every now and then. So, it's something that we use every now and then. When we want to use the best quality. Like, that's important to us. It's not an everyday thing for us, but yeah, it's definitely like on the go. It's definitely really good.
Well, so with the, I kind of want to break down how the supplement industry kind of works as far as how do you have a supplement made. So there's three main ways the products you see on the shelves are made. So there are these companies that are called contract manufacturers. They're the ones that have the big labs, the manufacturing equipment. They make supplements for supplement companies. Now there's three kind of ways to go about it. There's doing a private label deal with the manufacturers where they already have a pre-made cookie cutter junk product and they say, oh, we'll put your label on it. Now, most of the Instagram people and influencers, they do private label deals and they're like, oh, I got my own protein company or supplement company. And, I really looked hard to make sure it's the best. Now, it's cookie cutter crap. Now, the second way is also through contract manufacturer. And not a lot of manufacturers do this, but you say, this is the product, this is my formula. I'm sourcing the ingredients directly from these ingredients companies. I'm not going to use the cookie cutter, Chinese pea protein from your inventory. Most contract manufacturers won't let you do that. Now, I was actually lucky enough to find one actually in here in Las Vegas where they let me formulate everything. I'm the contact and source of the ingredients. They, of course, I provide the certificates of analysis and all the proper documentation, but I get to source the best stuff. I don't use their cookie cutter stuff that they have in inventory. And then the third one is, and these are like the major companies bringing in, hundreds of millions, they have their own manufacturing facilities. But the majority of the industry, all the supplements come from contract manufacturers where, they charge you a certain dollar amount per unit. Now, the reason why I'm touching on that is the majority of the supplements out there are, let's say you say, oh, I want to come out with a plant-based nutrition shake or something. They'll be like, okay, well, we have these ingredients and we'll recommend put it in our input as far as how you formulate. Because most people, they just want to start a company. They don't really, they don't understand the ingredients, but they also don't have the network, how to get a big network as far as the ingredient supplies. There's a lot of big conventions every year that thousands of ingredients companies from around the world show up to, the distributors, and you'll actually see that, again, 90% of it is directly from China and just resold stuff. But yeah, it's taken about 4 years for me to actually build up that network where it's like with the pea protein, for example, I use this company called Purus. It's the only pea protein that's actually from seed to final product and always from the same farmers in the U.S. and Wisconsin. And it's half the sodium levels. The heavy metal contamination is non-existent. It's super clean. It's super smooth, super odorless. It is twice as expensive. That's why most of the companies, the main brands, don't use it, or if they do use it, they cut it with about 5 different other, say, pea protein ingredients, basically to cancel out any volatility in supply. That's another thing with the plant-based ingredients. Supply sometimes is tough. So if you have a huge company and you're selling, hundreds of thousands of units, you can't depend on one supplier of pea protein because they might have a production shut down. So a lot of the big companies, they use about 5 different pea proteins and blend it to kind of, diversify or nullify the risk of any volatility in supply. And it doesn't make it business sense, but we basically our pea proteins exclusively Purus. We don't blend it with anything else. But yeah, with most of the supplement companies out there, again, people on Instagram promoting stuff, they're using just the cookie cutter stuff that's from China that's cheap. It's like $4 a kilo as opposed to $8 a kilo. The big benefit with me is being that I own the whole company. I can take, a profit hit. My profit margins are not that good, but I actually take pride in putting something out there that legitimately is healthy, that my 70-year-old mom can take, which she doesn't really need. But for convenience purposes, she sometimes takes my protein, but I can feel comfortable with that. The majority of the products out there, I don't feel comfortable with.
So somebody who's out in the stores or in the supplement store, which kind of scares me to begin with, or in the health food store, how do they read the labels and how do they navigate to know what they're actually getting?
Okay, so as far as from an ingredient or a nutrient standpoint, reading labels is big. Now, as far as where the ingredients are actually sourced, unfortunately, there's no way of knowing. The only way to do it is actually hit up the companies and ask for a certificate of analysis. They pretty much all will not respond, or they won't answer, because the certificate of analysis, it shows the heavy metal numbers, all the numbers you want to know. It also shows the certificate of origin, where the ingredient is actually sourced. People email me here and there because they saw my blog post. I'm like, yeah, I'll show you my C of A, and I do. I'm probably the only one out there that actually says, yeah, I'll show you my C of A, because I don't feel like I have anything to hide. I don't think it's any proprietary information. I tell people the exact ingredient. Instead of saying pea protein, it says Purus P. So you can see, if you wanted to start your own supplement company and hit up Purus and pay as much as I do, or even my monk fruit sweetener, there's no secrets. I show exactly where it's from. The major brands, obviously, they just say, oh, pea protein, oh, stevia. You don't know where it's coming from unless you actually hit them up for a C of A. But now, in regards to reading a label and kind of evaluating what you're getting, especially from a value standpoint, I run into this all the time. One thing, just from a value standpoint, find out how much protein you're actually getting in that container. It seems really simple, but people, they overlook it or don't understand this. Look at how much protein is in each serving, and then multiply that by how many servings are in the container. That's how much protein is in the container. With a lot of the plant-based protein products out there, they're about 2-pound jugs, and they vary quite a bit from, say 400 grams of protein in a container all the way up to mine's 770 grams of protein per container. To compare that, say Vega Sport has 600 grams. There's about 20 servings of 30 grams of protein. So from just a value standpoint, is how much protein I'm getting for my dollar. That's a simple way to evaluate that. And then you really read the ingredients, and it's always listed in order of abundance. And a lot of times you'll see these healthy supplements. They have gums, guar gum, xanthan gum, creamers. They'll use sugar alcohols, erythritol, which to me actually tastes good and it doesn't upset my stomach, but a lot of people have stomach issues. That's one thing I've noticed. Some people say, hey, I have stomach issues with all the other stuff. Yours doesn't. It's because there's no gums, there's no creamers in mine. There's definitely no sugar alcohol. It's pretty much just the protein blend, natural flavoring, and then raw ground vanilla bean for the vanilla, organic cocoa for the chocolate, and then just monk fruit extract.
So is that what's causing the bloating and gas and discomfort in people? It's those gums. So when they see gargum or xanthan gum or even stevia, those are the types of things that can be upsetting somebody's stomach.
In some people, yeah. I'm sure there are other reasons. Any dairy product, it's most likely the dairy.
The whey protein was big for that. A lot of bloating and gas. But even
still, a lot of the popular brands that, we're constantly being sent stuff, or we go to shows and, you're thirsty, so you pick something up and it's like, 20 minutes later, you're buckled over and it's all plant-based.
Right.
To be honest, I think it's, the people at Purus, the pea company, I don't know what they do to it, but it's just on another level because again, the other plant-based protein companies, they're using pea protein, they're using brown rice, they're using, pretty basic ingredients, and people get the bloating. I'm not sure. I know for some people it definitely is the gums, the creamers, if they use erythritol, sugar alcohols, which most companies don't. There's one company in America, they're huge. It's called Orgain, or it's supposed to be all organic, but for the price, there's no possible way that's actually true. But it tastes delicious, not to give them props, but they use so many creamers, every gum under the sun. There's like 5 grams of sugar alcohol in each serving. It tastes good, but people have issues with that. So with the plant-based protein powders, I know the gums, a lot of people, it causes them bloating. And then there are plant-based products out there that don't have all the gums and that might cause bloating. It just might be how the pea protein is actually, or any protein grade. It's not all about pea protein, but how it's processed or how it's manufactured. I couldn't really explain beyond as far as the gums. People have issues with the gums, but some of the supplements that don't have the gums and still cause the bloating, to be honest, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's in those protein ingredients that causes that versus, my stuff that people haven't had issues with.
So protein is here to stay. It's a macronutrient that we all need, we require to be able to function. And we talked about protein a little bit with James Wilkes, who's one of the producers of The Game Changers. Have you seen that documentary yet?
I haven't seen it. I feel like I'm the only one that hasn't seen it yet.
You got to see it. It's on Netflix. There's no excuse. And everybody listening needs to go see it. There's no excuse. But he was on episode 320 with us. We talked a little bit about protein because we usually do whenever we have athletes on the show with us. and it's a major question that people have. And protein supplements are something that people are going to continue to use. But for people that are listening that are not really into the protein supplement thing, what are the best foods that you would go to, real food, to get your protein?
My number one favorite, if we're talking plant-based whole foods, is lentils. Love lentils. To me, they taste good, but as far as just from a nutrient standpoint, very dense in protein, a lot of fiber. That's one thing. Everybody, this whole culture, everybody's obsessed with protein. And my friend Dr. Angie, she's like, everybody's missing out on the fiber. Yeah. So everybody listening, get more fiber. Stop worrying so much about protein. But lentils are great. They have, I think it's like a 1-to-1, maybe 1-to-2 protein. Again, tailoring macros here. You get the most protein without the excess carbs or without the excess net carbs. So lentils are my favorite. I love tempeh. Tempeh is real high in protein, low in fat, pretty low in carb, decent fiber, and it's it satisfies you. I'm actually not I'm not a tofu guy. To me, I don't like the texture. And again, as far as like the macros, how much protein I'm getting for how much fat I'm taking in, there are varying tofu products out there, but I'm not really a tofu guy. But I love tempeh, lentils. I like the fake meat products. They're satisfying. I wouldn't make it a staple of my diet. They're very processed. A lot of stuff's in there. A lot of sodium in most of them. But the Beyond Meat products I think are really good, except for the fact that I wish they would make a leaner Beyond Burger. Yeah. You have about 20 grams of protein, but that comes with at least 20 grams of fat. I think they could dial down the oil, maybe make a light version or a leaner version. Gardein is a company. Their porkless bites are really good. They're satisfying. They make these fake beef tips. Again, high in protein, they're satisfying, but mainly stick with legumes, a lot of good seeds, pumpkin seeds, I would say. Again, highest protein ratio to fats and carbs, or at least fats. Pumpkin seeds are really good. Sunflower seeds are good. So there's a lot of whole food plant-based sources out there. But I would definitely say lentils are my number one, and any legume, black beans, any beans, seeds, and then again, occasionally throw in some of the fake meat products. But those are my go-to.
Those are really great ideas. And I think that everybody just got really, really hungry right now. The other thing that I wanted to bring up just before we go is that when you're looking at the ingredient labels, going back to that, it's important to recognize that if you don't need a ton of protein, so if you don't need 36 grams of protein in your shake and you just want it for flavor and a little bit of extra because maybe you skip lunch or you don't know what it's going to be for dinner because you're going out, and you only want 10 grams of protein or you only want 12 grams of protein, you can do math in your head and say, okay, well, if 2 scoops is 36, then, how much am I only getting in 1 scoop? So if I only want 10, can I just do half a scoop? And you can do that math yourself. You don't always have to go by what's on the label. And I think that's important for people to realize too, that if they are taking in shakes on a regular basis, but they don't need as much protein that's there, they can cut back and they don't have to use as much. Right.
Actually, and not to plug my product, but talking about my product specifically. So yeah, 1 serving is 35 grams of protein. That's a lot. People say, oh, you don't need that much. And in some cases, yeah, they're right. Now that serving is made up of 2 scoops. It's a big serving size. But yeah, they're like, well, that's too much protein. Yeah, well, dial it down. Or even if you have a product that only has 1 scoop, the serving size is 1 scoop. Okay, well, whatever protein amount is in that serving, do a half scoop. Or, you can adjust. You're not forced to use the full serving. Yeah, that's one thing a lot of people are scared away from, especially in my product. They say 35 grams of protein, that's too much. It's like, think about it this way. Just use half the serving and you're getting twice the servings that are more appropriate for you. So, yeah, people just need to really just pay attention to the numbers on the nutrition facts label. And again, the ingredients listing as well. But just look at the numbers, do the simple math. But yeah, most people in one sitting, they're not using 35 grams of protein, or their body isn't utilizing 35 grams of protein. This is more, I created the product mainly for more of a bodybuilding aspect, but combining fitness and health. But for the general consumer, yeah, you don't need a full serving. So instead of 22 servings, have 44 servings. Just do 1 scoop, get about 17 and a half, 18 grams of protein. Yeah, just look at the numbers and really kind of adjust accordingly. You don't have to go by the full serving size.
Love that you're saying that, even though it's not good for business.
Yeah. And so the people listening that are actually interested in protein powders, they've only heard us talk about using them in smoothies. So are there other places that you use your protein powder or that people could be creative with it? Are there different ways to use it?
Yeah. So my main go-to thing in my protein powder, it's like, yeah, I do a smoothie, but I actually make a bowl of plain oatmeal, and then just flavor it with a chocolate protein powder or any type of flavored protein powder you have. So you can take a bowl of oatmeal, and now it's pina colada protein-rich oatmeal. That's one thing I think a lot of people out there do. I'm not sure, but I do it. I love it. I actually mix my protein powder in. I add a little bit more water, of course, into the oatmeal. But yeah, I stir it in a serving or maybe even a half serving. With mine, the servings are big, so I only use one scoop. And there's actually a little bit of protein in oats. A lot of people they think about carbs. Yeah, full cup of dry oats, you get about upwards of 10 grams of protein. So you actually don't need to even add a whole lot of protein to that. But yeah, for flavoring, I throw protein and powder in my oats.
Add a banana to that, and then you got an extra gram. An extra gram.
You got it. Boom. You get a little potassium there. Yeah. And it tastes better, of course. Banana saves everything. Remember. But yeah, or sometimes mixing it with my drinks. I was actually talking to my friend the other day. He was like, "Oh yeah, they just had a sale on Powerade." And I was like, have you ever mixed like vanilla protein powder with the orange Powerade? He's like, no. I'm like,
creamsicle.
It's not like an orange creamsicle, but it's close enough. It's good. So yeah, I feel like, or my friend Dr. Angie, she doesn't use protein powders anymore, but she'll sometimes flavor her coffee with it. Oh, that's another one. Yeah. So coffee, what I'm using right now is a Starbucks blend. It's like pumpkin spice, like flavored ground, but it's not sweetened. But what I'll do is make the coffee, and then I'll put a little bit of vanilla protein powder in there and stir it up. But it has to be cold. Otherwise, for some reason, like super hot liquids, they mess the protein powder texture consistency up. So I'll actually put in like a shaker bottle of ice, put the protein powder in, dump the coffee in, and shake it up, and it'd be like a nice, kind of a little bit creamier vanilla, in this case, pumpkin spice latte-ish coffee. And of course you get extra protein, which everybody apparently needs all the time.
Good for Vegas, just not Canada right now.
Yeah.
Right.
We're on hiatus from iced coffee for a while.
Yeah, it's getting cold.
I got you.
It's getting cold for sure.
It's starting to get windy here. If you stand outside long enough, you might catch a slight chill at nighttime if the elements are right. Now it's like 70s or 80s still here. It's nice, but
nice.
But yeah, those are the go-tos as far as for me personally. Mixing protein powder in for convenience, but also just make things taste better.
Yeah, and we'll do it with the ice cream, banana and ice cream every now and then. Again, bananas make everything taste better. Andrew, we want to thank you so much for joining us on the Plant Trainers podcast today. You've been a wealth of information. I think that people are really going to think twice about the products that they think are good for them and really think about what else can be coming along with it. Like we said, we don't use protein powders very often, but when we do, we want to make sure that we have the very best quality, and we want that for our listeners too. So I think that a lot of the information you gave us today was really eye-opening.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. It's not often I get a platform to actually talk about the insider information that nobody's ever really talking about within the industry. And it almost feels good to get that out there. Again, assist your listeners with more information to help them make better decisions out there.
And there's so much more for them to learn from you. So Andrew, where would you like people to go to reach out if they wanted to connect with you?
Yeah, so to connect with me, you can actually just email me through the website. It's realprolifenutrition.com. Definitely check us out on Instagram to really see what we're all about. We also do comparison posts on our Instagram, so you can see, we compare ourselves to the major brands from not only a numbers standpoint, but just quality ingredients comparison. Check us out on Instagram, Real Pro Life Nutrition. And email me through the website. I'm always happy. I'm the one that answers pretty much all the emails directly. So if you want, say, the certificates of analysis on the product, or just have general questions about how to use it or why, or even if you need it, hit me up. I'm always happy to help.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here, Andrew.
All right, guys. Thank you, Adam and Trishana, for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers podcast. We want to make sure that you subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platform.
We really appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it really helps other people find us just like you did.
Thanks so much to our patrons. To become a patron, visit us at patreon.com/planttrainers. even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference in the quality of the show.
And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is @PlantTrainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at planttrainers.com for awesome recipes, a list of our services, and of course, our latest podcast.
We encourage you to email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so that we can help you improve your quality of life through nutrition and fitness.
So we hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time
and have a healthy day.
Or is that too corny?
It's a little cheesy.